This lighting makes me look ghoulish. I'm not opening the window. Uh, that out. Hey, cool. Yeah, you can't really see my face. I look extra ghoulish. Wait, hold on. Maybe I just good enough. Hey. Hi. Okay, the last two episodes I didn't have time to record. They came out like ass, so I'm just gonna recap what exactly happened. So here we are with the map. If you don't watch the last two, you're probably confused, so I'm gonna just explain. So there's a yellow country here, Dardanella. They got jumped by North Turkey and formerly Thessaloniki, but the Olympians kicked them out, so now they're just kind of Thrice. Yellow East Albania got jumped by Thrice and regular Albania, so they don't exist anymore. Rome did some expanding. They took Corsica, Sardinia, and have a giant colony in Africa that stretches all the way to Morocco. The west part of Florence, they rebelled. Now we have South France. They're green. Uh, this happened, but first Egypt did a lot of expanding, including acquiring Olympia's colony. Not through violence, I'd imagine. I think they would just take it through purchase, probably. So they're pretty big, but at the same time, they also had to let go of this. So now we have like East Africa, Arabia. I don't know. They probably have like I don't know. I don't know. But we also have before the yellow Dardanelle country collapsed, they let go of this teal Ukraine country, Crimea country. So they exist. And then we get to this. Slovenia got jumped by Orange and by Slavia and Milan, so they don't exist. But then Milan, this pink country, and I think I called this Serbia before. This isn't Serbia. This is like Hungary area, but it's all the same. They had a giant war, and this ended up being a mess because now there's a bunch of different countries let loose. You have like Austria over here. This I don't even know what you'd call this pink country. I'm gonna call them like South Austria, Slavia. You have like a Serbian country. This is like South Hungary, and then we have like Romania here. This is like North Bulgaria, and this is like West Hungary. I don't know. There's a lot of countries, but now we're gonna look into the big powers on the map expanding, and then however this is gonna get resolved. So first, we're gonna head back to this green country over here. We're gonna bust out the color wheel that you guys can't see because I don't think it shows up on the map, but whatever. And we're gonna see some expanding by this country in roads. They're gonna expand a little further into the Middle East, and they'll start to expand a little farther south. There's a lot of open land here. And I think the Tigris and Euphrates rivers runs like over here. So they're probably kind of climbing down the river. So their efforts would probably be more eastward at this point, so somewhere like that. And then Egypt, I don't even know. I feel like their expansion would be along the Nile down here, but they're probably expanding here too. I don't know. I don't think they could expand too much more before collapsing. So they make like some strides, but for the most part, their endeavors in this part of the world are basically over. They're not super dedicated to this area. They're like, all right, we have our little chunk of land. We're good. Let's just expand in Africa. And they will. They'll kind of move into the desert, which not very smart of them, but I guess that's free real estate. So they'll take it, but kind of move farther south down the river, especially since now they have I don't know if they'd be a foe. I think they'd be somewhat friendly, but kind of neutral relations here. But they're gonna want to move down south to not not lose out on all this land. So they're gonna keep moving farther south, closer to the Horn of Africa. And I mean, they're gonna make some west moves too. And yeah, Egypt balling. Egypt's one of the strongest countries at this point, I'd like to think. It's really just them and Olympia, and then maybe like Rome as a distant third. So yeah, they're doing good. They're doing very good. All right, moving on to these guys over here, the teal country. They're gonna finish expanding around the Horn of Africa, fully gaining coastal dominate. I mean, there's no one really competing for it, so they're they're the only power looking to take control of it, but they do, and they move a little further inland, but kind of like Egypt up here, they're expanding, but that's not their main focus. Their main focus is over here in Arabia because they just found a whole new continent full of free land that nobody's in, so they're just gonna start taking it for their country. They're gonna get pretty far down the southern coast. I mean, you can't really expand into all this. This is desert, so you don't really want to go in there. Really, you want like this coastal area, this coastal area, and then like what they already have now. So that's going to be their goal. I mean, they don't really know about the Gulf of Persia, Persian Gulf. They don't really know about all that. They're just kind of working with what they have, and right now they're just working on getting a boatload of coastal access, and that is what they will do. They'll continue. Uh, this fun little island. They haven't explored that yet, but they eventually will. Over here in Rome, we will have them journeying farther west and discovering this point of Morocco, and they cross over the Strait of Gibraltar and discover Iberia, and they begin to take the southern parts of it. For now, they're just kind of exploring all that, kind of southern parts of modern day Portugal and Spain, and they're doing pretty good. Rome is looking pretty nice up to this point. Here we'll have Rome do a little bit more expanding. Africa's like deserty portion. I don't know how realistic it is that they're like exploring the Sahara Desert, but I mean they'd explore a part of it, I'd imagine. So they're gonna like get up to here with it. Yeah, there we go. Rome is balling. This is not where most of their stuff is. Most of their stuff's still like over here in the mainland of Italy, but they have all this stuff too, and soon it'll be really valuable for them. Next up, we've got Green France. They're going to continue expanding westward too, kind of exploring down south a little bit along this like bay area, and they'll begin moving into like the southern parts of Iberia. They'll discover these mountains here that separate Spain and France, and they'll just kind of keep exploring these lands until they eventually come to a stop right about there. Milan, they're kind of in a weird spot because powers surround them, so their only way is up through these like big mountains, but they've basically made their way through the mountains. So now they're exploring like South Germany. So like what's the Bavaria, that area. They're gonna expand there. Ugh, this is a terrible border, but it's temporary, so I will elect not to fix it. Austria over here got released during the war. They're gonna expand north too, but they can't really expand that much because they're pretty weak. So, whoa, what in the, what's going on with my brush? Okay, well, they expand that much. And the purple team over here will try to expand too. They'll actually expand this way, cutting off the pink team from moving at all. And they'll just keep moving up into like southern Poland, doing all right. Hungary, they got destroyed during the war. They used to be like big. All this land was theirs, and now they are pretty small. I still think they're stronger than all their neighbors, but not by that much anymore. So they're going to try to expand a little bit farther north, but they can't really do much. And then these guys, they'll just kind of expand north as well. They're pretty long, pencil-shaped countries, so that's pretty cool, I guess. I don't know. Now for Ukraine, who's going to be doing some of the most expanding here. They have a lot of forest to develop people and land, so they're going to move up and take like a massive swath of territory. All that is now part of their, I guess you could call it an empire. I don't think they've went to war with anyone yet, so I guess that's a pretty big win, but they're doing pretty good. They're expanding along the Black Sea. They did come from the Dardanelles country, whose goal was to take over the entire Black Sea, so maybe they still hold some of that ambition from their predecessors, but they do expand a lot. And another country that'll be expanding a lot are these guys, the North Turks, who will begin moving farther into the Middle East. Over here towards the like Azerbaijan area. So they meet up with the Caspian Sea, the first country to do that. So they're like, whoa, big body of water, fertile land for farming, and they begin moving in. But they they've kind of exhausted themselves too far, so now a new country will spring up from their mistakes, and that country will be Persia. Um, and for good color, I'm gonna do like this. It's like a super dark green. So all of this land, kind of in the south part of their claim, so like right there, all the way to there. This entire area of land's gonna break away from North Turkey, and they're just gonna kind of let it because they're basically anything beyond this line, like right here, they're having trouble holding on to and letting go of these guys. They don't want to do it, but like they kind of have to because they don't want to lose all their territorial acquisitions. This border looks gross. I'm gonna try to fix it. It's gonna look like, ugh, gosh, why is it so hard to draw borders? Europe. Okay, I'll just make it look like that. So these guys will do a little expanding over here. This isn't really their main focus. Their main focus is all this vibrant Caspian Sea land. So they'll expand pretty far up there before being forced to stop because they don't want to collapse into anarchy. So they exist now. Um, Now I feel like there isn't much true expansion being done. So I guess it'll just be a slow process. But here we'll have a war taking place. In particular, this brown country decides they want to be aggressive and fight this light colored country to their south. And so they begin pushing in, but immediately, as with almost every other war in this series, everybody else decides to get involved. So both this country right here and the red Thrice country jump in on the war to take some land. These guys take like this southern part and then this country they just swoop in and take the rest of it. So in the end, the brown country didn't actually get that much out of it, but that's all right. And now we have a very big red country. Is there a color difference here? I don't think there is. But yeah, the red country is pretty big too. Like if we're to do power rankings, I think number one's probably like I think it's still Olympia down here. I'd say number two is Egypt. Number three is Rome. I'll put these guys at number four, and then I'll say number five is probably like North Turkey. Actually, they're busy being unstable. So I'll say number five is the green team down here. So quick power rankings. Now I kind of don't know what to do. So I guess when all else fails, discover Arabia. So these guys will just kind of go all in economically on developing the Arabian Peninsula. So they'll begin pushing in even to the desert a little bit, which is ambitious, but they'll do it anyway. They kind of just want to get as much desert land as they can before any other powers get to it. Maybe they have word that these green countries of Persia and Rhodes have ambitious stuff. But really, I don't think they would. I think all three of these countries probably don't want Arabia that much. They're more focused on this area down here where there's a lot of fertile farmland. Because if they could get all this area, like this area right here, they are going to be very strong if they're able to get that. We'll see who gets to that land. But right now, we have, I don't even really know what to call this country because they have like the Horn of Africa, but they also have a giant amount of Arabia to this point. So are they, I guess they're just the Red Sea country, but Egypt has like where the Suez is, so they have control of the Red Sea. But I'm gonna just call these guys the Red Sea country anyway. They're expanding into Arabia, particularly along the southern coast. They do a pretty good job of taking a massive amount of land, eventually discovering the Gulf of Persia, Persian Gulf. And they begin moving upwards into this land, which is pretty valuable. They move upwards and eventually meet up with Qatar. And they just keep expanding, which is pretty ambitious of them. And so when it breaks away, everyone's kind of like, oh, shoot, maybe we shouldn't have expanded like that. But it starts over here in Qatar. Actually, that's not Qatar. Is it Qatar? No, this is Qatar. Oh my God, I'm dumb. That's the UAE. Actually, I think part of it's Oman as well. But this entire area will break away, and these guys were a little too ambitious trying to expand, so this is the consequence of their actions, I guess. So they lose all this land to this new country. This new country will kind of just keep pushing them back, and they can't really do much since they're not that strong or stable. So a lot of this land's just kind of being walked into and usurped by the Arabian country. Eventually, they'll form like a deal, I guess, to stop expanding and meet up here. Now, there's a giant area of land here that's just desert. So we're also going to see a treaty being drawn up between these two countries as to how to divide the desert, which will look something like this. Um, I think like there we go. Okay, so all of that land is occupied by Purple Arabia, and then all of this land the rest of this land will be occupied by the exploration Red Sea country. So we see the southern part of Arabia being divided up. Not gonna lie, this doesn't look that good, but oh well. Up here, we kind of have the scramble for the Fertile Crescent, so the green team will continue moving. These guys are busy with their own internal issues, so they're gonna get cut off pretty quickly by the green team. I say green team. Both of these guys are green, so I'm just gonna say Rhodes, Persia, Egypt, and then I don't know. So they just keep on moving in deeper into the Middle East. Maybe Egypt's kind of like, ooh, maybe we should not completely give up on this front, and so they'll move in a little bit. Not much, but they'll move in a little bit. Um, and then Persia, they're pretty weak, and most of their focus, I think, is more on the like Caspian Sea area over here. They want to get this area first, but they'll move in a little bit. They also won't completely give up, but it costs them a lot to try and even expand this area. So kind of they're developing. They're developing quickly, but they're not gonna be able to beat these guys there. But who will be able to beat these guys there are the purple team, who are going to wrap around the coastal area of the Persian Gulf, and they're like, "Ooh, a river. I wonder where this leads." So they follow the river up and then meet with the green team, who is probably very frustrated and probably threatens them with war, but they're kind of like, You can't really invade over here." And the green team, I guess, just kind of has to take that one. However, we will see these four countries um, meeting up here to discuss the division of this land. This is all very valuable land, so there's probably going to be some heated arguments. And there's no saying that this division won't lead to future wars, but who knows? Particularly the Teal country, Red Sea country, will be over here. They kind of request to occupy this land, which isn't really super contentious. So wait, no, not that. Jerusalem. There we go. So they will annex all of that land, and no one has a super big problem with it. Egypt, meanwhile, will take this chunk again. No one's super mad about that. Um, Egypt will try and claim something along these lines, which makes everyone pretty mad. They're like, that is way too much land for you. You don't even really care about this region. So that'll be rejected pretty quickly. The green team also kind of does something similar where they're like, we want all of this, and everyone's like, no, what's wrong with you? Um, this Arabian team will elect to occupy this land, which after some intense fighting will go through. They'll be able to take all that, which leaves this area. Egypt will make a more reasonable um, claim, something along these lines, which the green team isn't super fond of, but they eventually just roll with it. And Egypt gets all of that. The green team kind of takes claim over this land, and everyone's okay with that. The purple team basically claims this land over here. They will get that. And then we have like a the land just keeps getting smaller. We'll have most of this going over to the Red Sea country down here. Did I mess that up? I think I did. Yeah, so they wait, no, why are they doing that? You have to zoom in. Like right there. They get all of that right there. Perfect. And then the rest of this, I don't even know. I guess it'll go over to the purple too. So now we have the official claiming of the Middle Eastern lands by Egypt, Red Sea country. I don't know how the map is doing that. Oh, there it goes again. Um, but yeah, Egypt, Rhodes, North Turkey, Persia, Purple Arabia. I don't even know what to call this. I'm just gonna call them like Arabia. Um, why does my map keep doing that? Does it appear on video? Like when it lags and it looks like two like plates moving over each other? I don't know. That might just be me. I'll figure it out later. But we'll see a little more expansion into West Europe, in particular Rome and Iberia. Oh shit, the brush is still at small version. So they're gonna keep expanding here into like Andalusia and South Portugal. So they'll take over all this land and they'll just keep moving closer to Madrid by the day. Um, However, simultaneously, Spain kind of discovers, not Spain, oh my God, not Spain, France, green South France. Their capital is in Paris. It's like here. Yeah. So they'll keep moving into like Catalonia and they'll eventually meet up with Rome, where they'll kind of figure out what's going on and scramble their boys to explore. Before things could get hostile, their leaders kind of meet up and are like, hey, why don't we amicably divide up Iberia? And so they'll decide, what a splendid idea. We'll do that. And in this treaty, the north part of Iberia up to here will go over to France, and then the rest of it will go over to Rome, except for that tiny pixel. No, I'm kidding. There we go. So Rome's doing pretty good. They have a pretty good stronghold in the West Mediterranean. They'll even discover these islands over here and take them over for fun. So they're doing pretty good. Rome is looking very powerful, and this will be highlighted as they continue to expand further into Africa. Um, a lot of this is desert, so they're not really doing that much, but mostly along the coast here. They'll continue to explore the West Moroccan coast. And at this point, I think they might. I don't know what their power ranking is. I don't think they're over Egypt yet, but they're getting there. Now, I guess we'll have one more war to cap off the end of this video, and that'll be the jumping of these pink countries. Everybody, all four of their neighbors will basically jump in. Actually, it'll mostly be a orange Slavic country who's like Gur mine. So they'll take over all this area, and then afterwards, all the other countries in the area will kind of jump in to take what lands they claim, which will mostly be this purple country over here, West Hungary. So they'll take all that. This yellow country here will barely get anything. They'll just like get a tiny little nugget of land before the orange country completely finishes them off, and they will be terminated. So now we have, whoa, whoa, maybe a slightly cleaner North Balkan area. I don't know. It's still a mess. And I think that will do it. So nice fun. We saw development of the map over in this direction over in Arabia and almost complete Mediterranean exploration. Actually, yeah, complete Mediterranean exploration. So yeah, game been